Welcome back to another episode of the Cape Copcast. I'm one of your hosts, Lisa Greenberg.
And I'm Officer Mercedes Simons. Together we make up the Public Affairs Office. Today we have two guests from our Special Victims Unit. I'll just let you guys kind of introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about you, what you do with the department, where you've come from.
You want to start?
Sure.
All right, perfect.
I'm Trish Gould. I've been with CCPD since April of 2021. I started here on patrol for a few years, and then I've been in SVU, going on up almost 3 years.
SVU, for people who are listening who don't know what that is, what is SVU?
It stands for Special Victims Unit. So we investigate child sex crimes, child abuse, child neglect, adult sex crimes, elder abuse, elder neglect, internet crimes against children. I think
some of the worst crimes that we see.
Those are the major ones that we do.
Yeah. And what about you? Tell us about yourself.
I'm Detective DiGiovanni. I've been with the department since July 2015. I was on patrol for about 2.5 years, and then I moved to school resource officer in 2018, and I was the resource officer at Gulf Elementary for 3 years. And then since then, I've been in the major crimes unit since 2021, and then specifically Special Victims Unit.
Yeah.
Nice.
For those who don't know, at some point we had our violent crimes unit and special victims unit just called major crimes. And then there were so many nuances just between the two that it's easier to split them and have specialized areas, especially when we get into what we're talking about today, which is internet crimes against children. I think that's a very specific niche field. I don't know much about it. So this is not just for me to learn and everybody else to learn today. So I think it's a really good opportunity to talk about some of the things that you've been seeing, what we're looking at, what we want parents to know, just to educate people a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think this day and age, all the kids, no matter the age, I mean, I swear I see 8-year-olds with cell phones, iPhones, little computers in their hands. So this is a really pertinent topic.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a lot different from when we mostly all grew up. Cell phones weren't as prevalent. At least I know of when I grew up, same thing with internet. So now we're just in a digital age, and it's just going to keep growing and becoming, I guess, more evolved into new things.
Definitely. So what kind of stuff are you guys seeing right now when it comes to internet crimes, specifically with children?
We're seeing a lot of mainly teens, but even younger than teens. We have elementary school age kids, middle school age kids, and they're sending inappropriate pictures to others. Sometimes it's people their own age, but unfortunately sometimes it's people that are well above their age. That's the most frequent thing that we're seeing.
So how does that happen? What does that process look like? Because if I was a parent, I'd be like, well, my kid wouldn't voluntarily send pictures like that to a 40-year-old guy. How does that end up coming across your desk?
A lot of it starts with social media. So whether it's Snapchat or Instagram, and sometimes it's kids that they go to school with. They're messaging and whatnot, and they hear from their friends that, oh, this is what we do. We just send pictures out, not realizing the consequences of once they're out there, they're out there. You don't know who actually has them in their hands. Even some of it starts with games Roblox, and that's a huge game amongst younger kids. But you can send messages in Roblox, and you don't necessarily know who you're talking with. So, and Roblox isn't necessarily the only platform, but that's a frequent one that we see.
I think it's a combination of how we get these types of cases. Not only from the parents reporting it to Cape Coral Police Department, but also with National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. All the platforms, and obviously there are so many, and there's ones that I don't even know, but some of the major ones that we see are Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. They're always monitoring people's pages. And they monitor to see who you're friends with, what activities you're liking, what posts you're liking, what you're uploading, and if they can determine that you're possibly a minor and it's inappropriate activity, whether it's chatting, images, or videos, they contact National Center for Missing and Exploiting Children, and that's how we get a lot of these reports.
Gotcha.
So you don't necessarily see. I had always just been under the impression that it had let you know and notified you when someone was in possession of child pornography, you think the old creepy dude type of thing, but it actually flags like minors that have possession of that stuff as well.
Yeah, especially
Okay.
if they're uploading it, saving it, or reposting it. I feel like a lot of ours are those types of cases where we are having to do educational discussions with the parents and the children.
Yeah, I think that these kids, they're so young to be having these devices because they can't grasp the internet. They can't grasp that, oh, on Snapchat, I send this picture and it disappears in 10 seconds. Like, no, this is forever. Someone could screenshot it. Someone could save it. Then they could send it to a bunch of other people. And once something's on the internet, it truly is on the internet forever.
Right. And that's what's important, because a lot of times, especially with Snapchat, you think whatever you sent is gone. It's not. We can see what they've sent. Other people can screenshot it, obviously, and do whatever they want. And it's kind of what we tell these children and parents. If you don't want something like your parent or teacher to see, you shouldn't be posting that type of stuff or sending it via text or whatever.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of this, I know you mentioned like the Roblox and the gaming platforms. Are a lot of the times these kids sending these communications to people that they think may be kids their own age, but are actually grown adults? Is that where you're seeing a lot of that?
Yeah, I think it's both. There are some people, I think, unknown persons that don't lie about their age, and then some that absolutely do. They say that they're around the kid's same age to make that child feel comfortable.
Yeah, and sometimes it's even the kids are fine with talking with an adult because they figure, oh, it's fine. I'm here in Cape Coral and they're wherever. And they're not realizing that they're giving out so much information that you can easily track down where people live. Just the background of a photo.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's that park. They must live near there. They say that they go to this school. And so suddenly it becomes very easy to find where this child could be located, when in their mind they're like, oh, I didn't tell them anything and I'm just sending pictures. It's fine. And we also have kids that when they sign up for a platform, they might make it so that it looks like they're an adult. But as Detective DiGiovanni was saying, these platforms can still sort through that, and they can still determine that they believe this person is a juvenile, even though they might have put on there, oh, I'm 26 years old.
Right.
Just depending on the type of things they're posting or their images, the platform can still have a good, strong feeling that they're a juvenile, and they'll still send the cyber tip our way.
Right.
It's interesting. These kids not only having to worry about other people like getting access to their images that they didn't intend, but also someone's always watching. You know, these agencies are watching. So that's another angle of it that these kids need to be paying attention to too.
Yeah, I think I've also seen where we have like some exploitation cases where they will like voluntarily send a picture, but then like you can walk us through it, but like they threaten them and say like, oh, well, if you don't do this or send more, then I'm going to post it. And then you run into basically like a vicious cycle of them being afraid that something's going to happen to them, their pictures, they'll send it to their parents. Do you guys get a lot of those cases?
We do. It's frequently referred to as like sextortion. So sextortion isn't, the word sextortion is not within any Florida state statute that we can charge, but it falls within extortion. So we do have those cases, unfortunately, fairly common. And it's oftentimes when the images are sent from one person to another on a consensual basis. But as we've been saying, once it gets out to that person, and then if you're suddenly on bad terms, we see it a lot with like boyfriends and girlfriends, or some kind of dating situationship where they send it to them and it's fine. But once that relationship ends, then they'll either airdrop it to others, they'll post it on a page, they'll text it to their buddies, stuff like that. And then once it's out, it's hard for us to get it taken down.
Absolutely. It's scary. And, you know, for adults and children alike, it's the cautionary tale of like, don't do this. You know, you may think you're just innocently sending your partner a fun photo and then it turns into something like this. It makes you definitely want to think twice before you ever do it, period.
Yeah.
No matter your age.
Do you guys end up filing charges on a lot of these cases? And my other question, say like boyfriend-girlfriend relationship goes bad, boyfriend has like a potential sextortion case. Can the parent press charges on behalf of the child since they're a minor?
So I'll answer that first part. On the cases where they're sending out images of people, yes, we have charged, and a lot of times it is other juveniles that are doing this, and they have been charged with crimes. And as far as the other part,
Yeah, as far as like a parent pressing charges on behalf of their child, they can do that. I mean, of course, usually we do want the cooperation of the child. We're not going to force any child to be interviewed if they don't want to be. But if everybody's on board and cooperating with the investigation, then yeah, we will absolutely do what we can to make sure the investigation is done thoroughly. And then oftentimes from there, we send it on over to the state attorney's office and see if we've got actual charges to file.
Yeah, we had a case somewhat recently, I remember, involving juveniles. And I believe that the person that ended up being charged was charged as an adult. So these are definitely serious cases. It's something we take very seriously here at the department. And it must be tough for you guys to have to handle these types of cases involving children. I mean, I know it's your job, so you kind of build up a I don't know what the word is, a front to it. Like you kind of are able to separate, but it's got to be tough. These are some of the worst cases that a department could get in theory.
I think for me, at least working with these cases, it's unfortunate that we have these types of crimes, especially against the most vulnerable to me, which is children, and that they have to be victims to this and go through this. But I think that's why it's so rewarding, at least for me, to work these cases and to see them through and see if somebody can be prosecuted.
Definitely. I'm sure as a mother, it adds another layer too.
Oh, it totally does. But it's also scary because I worry about my child in the digital age. When he's around, once he starts to get around cell phones and that type of stuff, it worries me because it's just going to do nothing but grow.
For sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
What's something that you would like for parents to know? Like if you had like one big announcement.
I know, right?
I know. It was so much easier without cell phones growing up, but I think that's not realistic. My thing would be, as a parent, have these conversations with your kids. And if you're not too educated about social media apps or what's out there, do some research on it so that you can have these discussions with them and understand the importance of what they're looking at, what they're doing, and the potential consequences if they do post anything that's inappropriate. I always tell parents a great resource is on the National Center for Missing and Exploited website. They have resources for parents and kids and teachers, and it's called NetSmarts. And it has tips of how to talk to your children and everything like that. It's fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I think one of the big things is making sure to have these conversations with your kids.
Yeah. I think the one thing I would suggest for parents is to make sure that you're going through, if your kids are going to have cell phones or laptops or tablets, I agree that in this day and age, it's not realistic to say that they're just not going to have that at all. But if they're going to have it, as a parent or a caregiver, guardian, even a big sibling, whoever, make sure that you're going through those devices on a regular basis. You need to have the kids, the passcodes to get into the devices. If there's different passcodes or patterns or passwords or anything like that to get into the different apps, like make sure you are combing through it, including any hidden folders, any hidden apps, recently deleted. A lot of parents don't realize even just a quick way to get an idea of what your kid is doing on at least like their cell phones, like iPhones especially, is if you go into the settings and you look at their screen time section, it'll show you the most used apps.
Oh, that's smart.
And it'll show like, for the past week, they spent an hour and 10 minutes on TikTok or 1 hour on Instagram, and it'll break it down. So that kind of gives you a rough idea immediately of where they've been going. But we still do encourage parents to look deeper because we see it so frequently when we go out. We make contact usually we try to make contact with the parents and the children when we're notified of these cases. And the parents have no idea about these hidden sections because as we all get older, technology advances, and we don't always keep up with it.
I've learned a lot.
It's hard
talking to you guys. So,
right?
even as somebody that investigates this stuff, even me, sometimes I'm going into these apps because I don't have Snapchat myself, and I get nervous looking at their phone because I'm like, I don't want to hit something the wrong button because I don't know how to use them. But it's important that we educate ourselves enough to know what to look out for.
For sure.
I think also it's important that children understand, don't just become friends with anybody online. If you're going to be friends with people and socialize online, do it with somebody that you've actually physically met, like in person, that you know, versus somebody you've never met before and have no relation with.
Yeah.
And if anybody is talking to you, if you're a child, if anybody's talking to you online, whether that is somebody that you don't know in person or you do know in person, and it crosses some kind of threshold where you feel uncomfortable, it's important that you know to go to some kind of trusted adult, whether that's your parent or a teacher or, whoever you trust, but to make sure that it stops there versus you kind of ignore it and then it just gets worse. The person keeps messaging you, and then next thing you know, it's become a more serious situation.
Yeah.
Definitely. One other thing too that you just triggered in my mind is you guys must constantly have to be learning because these technologies, these apps, these games, these social media platforms are constantly changing. There's new ones popping up every day. Like all of a sudden I have stepchildren that are teenagers and I'll hear them talking about some app I've never heard of before or some feature on Snapchat that I didn't even know existed. And you guys really have to have your ear to the ground on what's going on.
Well, like she said, like sometimes when we're educating parents, they've never heard of stuff, specifically Snapchat, the For My Eyes Only section. A lot of people don't know about that, and that's where the kids are hiding a lot of inappropriate images or videos. But yeah, it's a constant. We get these reports on a daily basis, so especially if we've never heard of a particular platform that's notifying us, we definitely have to look up and do our research about what's included in that app.
Yeah. Do you guys see issues with because as a parent, I feel like my parents personally are like, oh, we trust her. Like she has a right to privacy. Do you kind of almost preach against that? Because it's it's not an issue of privacy. It's an issue of safety.
Right. And I think I don't want children to be scared of the internet, obviously, because it's good. It has its good points to it. But then there's other negative aspects. And I think if parents just have open dialogue, take the 10 minutes a day or a week, whatever it is, and have open dialogue with them about what can happen on the internet and about these apps and the good and the bad, I think that kind of helps. But also maybe limit screen time, like nighttime. Don't have it by a certain time you're done and take the phone away. Maybe look through their phone and see what they're doing, and just so that you're constantly aware of what your child's doing. Because I feel like a lot of times things just get missed. We're busy.
Yeah.
Kids are busy and you're tired, and just some things get missed.
It's scary having kids in this day and age.
It is. It's
My
very scary.
Lord. Yeah.
Yes.
Very scary. Okay, so we talked about talking to your kids. We talked about keeping an eye on your kids, technology, social media, all of that. Are there any other things that you would suggest or any other ways to prevent kids from falling prey to this type of stuff?
I think with kids too, sometimes they get nervous or embarrassed about things, but like she said, definitely go to a trusted adult, whether it's your parent or somebody else, even if it's just to have that type of conversation. That a lot of times would help, because I feel like children just kind of get into situations that they don't know how to get out of.
Yeah, I think so too. And even reading some of the reports when we get these come across our desk, you see that where they were afraid to go to their parent because they didn't want to get in trouble, or they were embarrassed that this was happening to them. And it's important for a parent to try to build that relationship with their child. But if it's not, if that doesn't work, at least having someone that your kid can go to for sure.
And for parents to know that we have really good detectives that work on these cases that advocate for their children.
Yes, definitely.
We love what we do. So we're all about helping families and children and educating.
Yeah,
absolutely. Can you think of anything else?
No, I think we just about
guys
covered
killed it.
everything.
Great job.
I feel smarter.
I know, right? You're going to have to teach Drake about those phones.
He's just
Hopefully not for a while.
He's into Miss Rachel right now.
Perfect.
I think she's okay.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think she's okay.
Anything else from you guys? Anything you can think of?
No.
I don't think so.
You guys did so great. Thank you so much for coming on, and thank you guys for listening or watching, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, stay safe on the internet.
On the internet.
That's right. Thank you for listening to the Cape Copcast, where we dive into the heart of the Cape Coral Police Department safety initiatives, community relations, and the insightful stories of different officers that make up our department.
Please like and share our podcast. If you have feedback, you can email capepdpao@capecoral.gov. And remember to follow us on social media. Our handle is @CapePD on all major platforms. Stay safe, stay Cape.